Welcome. I'm Steve Damasco, the Grand Master of Steve Damasco Shaolin Studios and the founder of the Strength and Honor Foundation. Before I get into the subject that I want to talk about today, I just want to say something about the monks. You know, I love the beginning of that show. You know, this is my, I was in July, I was at the Shaolin Temple training again with the senior monk Yanao. And it was just great. You know, it's my 18th year. We're going again in July 20th of 2016. So if anybody's interested in going, please contact me. We take beginners. We take people that haven't even studied before. I mean, it's an incredible trip. We go to Beijing, we fly into Beijing, and we see the Great Wall, which I never get tired of, the Imperial Palace where the emperors live. They sure know how to do that very well. And then we go into we take another, either a train or another plane jet to a Zhengzhou, which is a big city. It's about an hour flight, and then we take a bus into to where the temple is, and we stay at a nice hotel, 5-star hotel, close to the temple. I've stayed at the temple once. Out of my 18-year going there for that many years, and I only did it once because it was terrible. You know, the monks live on these bunks that have a mattress about an inch thick, and underneath that is wood. So it was really tough. It was tough getting up that next morning and training after sleeping on wood. But we stay in nice hotels, and we have beginners, people that haven't even trained before, train with the monks. They're used to us. Again, they've been doing it with us for 18 years. People ask me all the time about these guys, you know, and can they really do all that stuff? I mean, you know, what can I say? I mean, they do things that just most people can't even imagine. I mean, from throwing a pin through a glass and standing on one finger or two fingers. I mean, it's just incredible. Every time we go, we get treated very special. We do an exchange. What we do for an exchange, meaning the martial artists that we take with us will perform, and then the abbot will have the monks come out and do a performance for us, which is just incredible. So, and he does it right in front of the house where he lives in the Shaolin Temple. So anyway, yes, they do all those things. They do more than even what I'm talking about here. So again, if you want to, if anybody's interested, you can always contact me. We do take martial artists from other styles. We've taken every year with us. You know, the philosophy of Shaolin is to spread Shaolin, and Shaolin is for everybody. So you can easily contact me at stevedamasco@aol.com. I recently got back from, a few days ago, got back from California, one of our schools out there, and I was doing a martial arts seminar for kids and for adults. And I was asked to talk to the parents. There was about 40, 50 parents there. And they asked me to talk to them about bullying, which I've talked about in the past. And they're at wit's end. They don't know what to do. You know, their kids don't want to. There's children that don't want to go to school. You know, they say that they're sick, and their parents know that they're not really sick. They've reported it to the teachers, to the principals, and nothing's being done. So I want to talk about that today. I mean, this is a subject that I've been dealing with since Clinton's first administration. What was that, since 2000, 1999, I can't remember exactly when it was, but I've been dealing with this for well over 20 years now. And what I did for the president and the secretary of education for the country was travel around to schools, all over the schools, because of the school shootings. And it has a lot to do with bullying, because I had reports, I had the files on every single school shooting in the country, and it was consistent across the board. There were a couple of things that were very consistent. One, the kids were very detached from their families, okay? They had subcultures going on, meaning they had a very, very small group of friends that they hung out with. They weren't very social with other kids in the school, going to dances, going to proms, playing athletic sports. These were kids that kind of like were kind of quiet, didn't say much. For all general purposes, they were good kids as far as people knew, and they couldn't understand why these kids were getting up and just doing these heinous crimes of shooting teachers and other kids. And the other thing that was very consistent across the board was every one of them but one of all the school shooting had been severely bullied. Okay. Now I'm not saying that this is the total issue. There's mental health issues, obviously, that play into this. But when you got a kid that has a subculture that's detached from his parents, okay, that is constantly being bullied, which means he or she especially he, are very, very angry. I don't want to say especially he, but the school shootings have been done by males, and that's why I said he. When you have all those elements in place, it's a problem. I lectured in over 100 schools in a 5-year period, from here all the way to the Delta of Arkansas. I lectured at Harvard, at Yale University, the Presidential Library twice on diversity. I mean, everything that I lectured about, they had closed down school systems. I mean, I would lecture to myself and a representative from the U.S. Department of Education would talk to the entire school department. I mean, the whole school would be shut down, the whole system. All the educators, anywhere from 500 people to 1,400 people, educators, janitors. And again, the same subject always came up, this subject of bullying and violence in the school, okay? Because they're very, very related. They're very tied into each other. In California, when I was talking to these parents, they said to me, a lot of karate schools and say that they have bully proofing. I want to know what that means. What is bully proofing? Because anybody that uses that term is totally incorrect. There is no such thing as bully proofing. You're not going to stop this problem. Okay, I've only seen of the thousands probably of people that I've spoken to, I've only seen this problem corrected one time, just once. And let me give you an example of how that worked. Okay, and it was actually a high school in New Hampshire. I don't want to mention the school, but it was a high school in New Hampshire. And I was talking to the parent. I was talking to a lot of parents and doing a lecture. And the parent stood up and said, "Look, I had a problem, and my principal corrected it." And I said, "Well, that's great." I mean, I was surprised because I had never heard this before. And I said, "How did that happen?" He says, "Well, I went to the principal and I told him my son was being severely bullied. And I told him who it was and who they were. And the principal brought that kid in and he said to him that, 'I want to have a nice talk with you, son.' He said this kid was a star football player. He was a senior in high school, slated for college to play football. It was a big school and he was a good player." And the principal looked at him and said, "Look, we have this situation. You're harassing and you're bullying this kid. And it's going to stop. And I'm going to tell you why it's going to stop. It's going to stop because if you don't stop doing this, okay, I'm going to kick you off the football team. And not only am I going to kick you off the football team, I'm going to make sure that you don't get into any college football team." And he could do that. Because if you get taken off the team and you get kicked off, you're going to have a hard time getting into a college ball. And then he even took it a step further. He said, "Let me tell you this. If any of your teammates even look at this kid wrong, if they bother him at all, I'm going to come after you again, and I'm going to kick you off the team. So I want this kid left alone." Well, that kid never got bullied again. And that was a very, very unique situation. And it proves the point of what I've been saying for years. Okay? There was a consequence. There was a consequence that he was able to hit this kid with that was very, very dear to him, that he threatened to take that away. And in doing so, that bullying stopped. That is the only time, I'm not saying it's never happened before somewhere else, but it's the only time in the hundreds of schools I've spoken to, the thousands of parents and kids that I've spoken to, that I ever saw that it ever really got corrected, that it actually stopped. And this bully-proofing thing, I mean, if people are using that for advertising purposes, there's no such thing. I have a master's degree in behavioral psychology. Like I said, I lectured for years on this subject because we were talking about school violence. The school violence that, in terms of active shooters, was a very, very unique situation, okay? I come from the inner cities, as you all know. That stuff has been going on. We've been doing that stuff. I haven't, but we've been doing that stuff for decades, okay? They know who they are. They dress. They wear colors. We know exactly who the gang members are. But this was white America. This was suburbia America. They didn't know which kid was going to get up and do the next shooting. They didn't know, just like what happened in Connecticut. I have a school. We have a school in Newtown, Connecticut. There were 30 of our kids that were in the school that day. I don't even want to get into that. It's just so sad. It was just so sad. And none of those kids that were in our schools, okay, actually got shot. But of course, there was a lot of traumatic, post-traumatic stress from all of that, and it's great. It was just great that they were in the school because it gave them an outlet. But I mean, the FBI, when this first started, back way back to Columbine, the FBI classified this as terrorism because they didn't know who the next kid was going to be. We couldn't profile a kid. I can't tell you how many active shooter conferences I've been to with the FBI, Department of Homeland Security, how many I've been to. You cannot profile this kid. You cannot profile this kid. But what you can do, and this is what I told the parents, I was going to write a book on bullying. I know I'm jumping around here a little bit, I'm sorry, but you know what? I did write a book on bullying. I have it. I wrote it. I spent a year and a half, almost 2 years writing this book, and I decided not to get it published. And I'll tell you why. Because I only write to accomplish something. And I didn't feel that this was going to accomplish anything. Because the only way that this is going to stop, is if you have a tracking system. And I had the tracking system. I had the whole plan laid out exactly how I thought this would be able to work. Basically, it was going to work the same way as I talked to school systems about kids. When we were trying to find out who the next kid was going to be or if there was going to be a problem, everybody had to be involved. Everybody from the teachers to the principals to the vice principals to social workers to school guidance counselors and janitors, especially janitors, which they never thought about doing. The janitor's in the hallways all the time. He hears kids talk. And the same system would have to be set up for bullying. I can't tell you how many teachers I talk to, not monthly, but on a weekly basis, that tell me from kindergarten up, okay, 5-year-old kids, that slapping other kids, making fun of other kids. You know, people don't even have a clear, sometimes, definition of what bullying is. A lot of times they think that bullying is like hitting somebody or making fun of somebody. There's a lot to bully. There's a lot of ways people bully, and especially now with technology. Exclusion, especially little kids. Exclusion is a huge form of bullying. The little kid that goes up and says, "Hey, can I play with you?" And they say, "No, get out of here." Huge. It's major rejection. Our personal value system is developed between the age of birth, 0 to 3, 3 to 6, and 6 to 9. 0 to 3, listen to this, 3 to 6, and 6 to 9. By the time your child is 9 years old, 80% of who they're going to be, their personality, basically their personal value system is already developed. 80%. How many times, especially you people that have teenagers, have said, I can't, my teenager, they have a mind of their own. They do what they want to do. Of course they do, because by the time they were 9, 80% of that was already developed. And who has the biggest influence on these kids? You as parents, okay? The people that have the most contact. There's 3 major groups of people that have major influence that help develop, that are responsible for developing your child's, our children's personal value system. The parents, the teachers, and coaches. All 3 of those are very, very important. And if you really think about it, teachers and coaches especially, okay, have more, sometimes more than us. Because if you're a parent, if 2 parents in the house are working, these kids are being, in school with teachers and coaches more than they are with us. So having said that, monitoring this is very, very important. So what did I tell these parents? What did I tell these parents in California? I said, I didn't publish the book. I have the system, but I didn't publish the book. Because the only way that this is going to change is if you as parents get together and form some sort of major national, believe it or not, I know this sounds ridiculous, but it's not, coalition, okay, a group, okay, going to your school boards. It doesn't even have to be national. It'd have to be actually district by district, is going to your school boards, okay, and getting a system in place that is going to manage this. Bullying will never stop. It doesn't stop. I mean, the profile of the bully, why do kids bully? What do we tell kids in our karate schools? We don't tell them, to fight, that's up to you as a parent. We teach them to defend themselves, but that's up to you as a parent whether they use that or not. And then again, most schools have zero tolerance policies, which mean that if 2 kids fight, no matter who started the fight, both of them are going to get suspended. So the zero tolerance policy, to me, is ridiculous, okay? I mean, I've heard all kinds of cases where kids have been bullied for 2 or 3 years in the same school, and finally the kid just can't take it anymore and throws a chair or hits the kid, and both of them get suspended, okay? So, I mean, bully proofing is a ridiculous statement. Okay, bully management is almost a ridiculous statement. You can't manage, you can manage it in schools, but you're not going to manage it by teaching a child anything. The only thing you can do with a child is what we do in our schools is build confidence. And confidence, I told you before in one of my other shows, is accomplished by building self-esteem. Self-esteem is built by building accomplishment. And we teach these kids. It's an individual sport, art, but sport. These kids are individual. They don't have to rely on 4 other players or 10 other players or 15 other players to accomplish stuff. So we get them to feel good about who they are and what they do. And then we educate them on why kids bully. Because definition is very important. You cannot accomplish anything in terms of satisfaction mentally unless you have definition for it. We teach them why kids bully. Why do these kids do that? They don't have self-esteem. They don't have good confidence. They need to say bad things or do bad things to other kids to make themselves feel good. And they don't have parental guidance that is staying on top of this. You know, I spoke at a high school. They had a kid almost got killed in one of the schools in Long Island, and they paid me a lot of money back 15 years ago, thousands, to come in and do seminars for the teachers, kids, and then parents at night. And I got to tell you something. The teachers were very receptive. The kids were very receptive. I don't know what I accomplished, but you know what was really interesting? They sent out 10,000 invitations for parents to come and listen to me that night. It was specifically that night for parents, okay? Now, I'm not saying that I'm a big celebrity and everybody should come, but at that point, my titles were, okay, spokesperson for the President of the United States and the Secretary of Education for the country, having dealt with school violence all over the country. I think that would have been enough that parents might have wanted to come and listen. Out of 10,000 invitations, 250, I think 300 people showed up out of 10,000. One of the largest high schools in New York. Sad. So here's my point. My point is this. If you want to change this, if you want to help your children with this, because it's happening everywhere. The saddest part to me, I know I'm jumping around again, but the saddest part to me is, you know, high school kids have their own way of dealing with the kids, things like this. Even junior high school kids, they're more adults now than they've ever been at that age. But like 5-year-old kids, like they don't know why. When they get hurt, when people hurt them, 5-year-old kids don't have those cognitive abilities to know why people do that. Why does that child treat me that way? Why does he bully me? Why does he make fun of me? Why does she make fun of me? Why are they talking about my hair, or I'm too skinny, or I'm too heavy, or I'm too tall, I'm too short, or they don't want to play with me? Why do they just come up and randomly slap me? Why do they do things? Why do they push me in line when nobody's looking? Constantly, these things happen. These kids at that age, they don't know. You know, an older kid that has, you know, at an older age can say, you know, that kid's just a jerk, he's a moron. They can make excuses for that. But a 5-year-old kid has a very difficult time, okay, being able to justify what's happening to him. It's like the little dog, you know, the puppy that you hit and it turns its head like this. It just knows it doesn't feel good, but doesn't understand what happened. That's what happens to these kids in school when this is happening. And this stuff that's going on has a major, major effect on their personal value system, how they're going to look at life as they get older, how they're going to deal with situations and conflict. One day I'm going to talk about that. I can't begin to tell you what generations has already passed, what generation we're in, and how kids don't know how to deal with conflict because of the feel-good generations that we've been going on for a very long time. But these kids don't know how to, even if they're being taught. 5 years old is a very difficult age, 6 years old, to be able to teach a child how to deal with conflict other than get mad at them, and that doesn't work. So here's the solution. Here's the solution. The solution is this, okay? It's a several-step process. First of all, you got to involve everybody in the school. You cannot tolerate, okay, kids making fun of other kids, which teachers are seeing every day in the corridors, seeing every day in their classroom, seeing every day at recess for younger kids. They see it. I talk to them all the time. But what are they going to say? You know, the teachers that are concerned, one teacher or two teachers that are watching 40 or 60, 50 kids in recess. I mean, how much intervention can they really have? But if you had a process, if there was a 3 or 4 step process, one. My point is there should be a 3-step process. One is a warning, okay, when it's reported. It has to be reported from the janitor to the teachers to everybody that sees this. And there has to be an anonymous reporting system for kids that see this, because there are kids that do care and don't like it, but are afraid to do anything about it because they're afraid of retaliation. So the first step would be the warning. They get called in and they say, look this was reported. This is what was seen. You need to stop doing this, because if you don't stop doing this, you're going to be in a lot of trouble. And let me tell you what the trouble is. Step 2, if it happens again, you are not, what are we going to give them detention? It's ridiculous. If these kids are doing this consistently, they need some sort of intervention. They need counseling. There has to be an expert. I mean a real expert that's actually trained in this type of intervention in that school. And they have to sit with that person for several days after school, or whatever time that frame that they can do this in, probably after school. And they have to be taught what bullying is, because a lot of kids don't even know what it is. All the different things of how they're bullying, because this is bullying, and this is the effect this is having on these children. And you need to stop this, because the next time, this is the second warning, the next time this happens, there will be no counseling. You will be suspended from school. Now, you tell a parent that, and this is part of the curriculum, meaning like these are the rules, because the school board has approved this, you watch how quickly some of this gets stopped. Or really managed. 1 is a warning, 2 is counseling, and 3 is suspension. Because just like that football player, that teacher that was going to take the kids' football scholarships away, okay, and kick them off the team, there's consequences. Because if we don't do that, if that doesn't happen, this is never, ever going to be fixed. Never going to be fixed. So there's a lot more to this. If anybody wants to talk to me about it or write about it or needs some help with this, I'll be happy to do it. But trust me when I tell you, after 20 years, or better than 20 years of dealing with this, okay, and dealing with these poor kids that come into our karate school and the parents are in tears sometimes telling us what's happening and there's nothing that can be done, okay, this is the only way it's going to happen. And the ramifications of bullying escalate beyond what most people can even think about. So that's where I'm at with that. Again, I'm easy to get a hold of. I'm going to do some martial arts stuff. What do I got, about 4 minutes, Rick? Wow, okay, come on. Not much time today on this, okay? First of all, I just want to talk about the knife. Let me show you the knife, okay? I see knife techniques all the time. I see Aikido techniques, which Aikido comes from a China system, okay? It comes from the China system that we teach, and it's part of our five fist system that we teach. Okay, I would rather defend myself against a gun, because the gun is just an extension of the hand, as I explained before. A knife, you have to be a technician. You have to be a technician, and you cannot telegraph, because what happens with a knife is this: when you go for the knife, okay, or you go for the hand, you can't go for the knife. That one or two things are going to happen. They're either going to keep coming in or they're going to pull back. Okay, so if you miss, if you're not exactly on that knife, you can grab it again. Okay, if you're not exactly on that knife, on that hand, I'm sorry, I keep saying the knife. If you're not exactly on that hand, okay, you're going to get hurt. Now when I say Aikido, I see them like doing this kind of stuff and then doing this stuff and flipping them all over the place, which we do, okay, but that doesn't work. That doesn't work, because the chances, nobody's going to be coming in like this from here and then coming in from a distance. When they hit the knife, they're going to either be coming in like this, or they're going to be coming in like this, and it's going to be quick, or they're going to be coming in like this, and the movement's fast, okay? So when the person goes is here. Now look Look at, you're not going to get your body out of the way. It looked like I got my body out of the way, like I moved my body. This guy only has to do this. He's going to come at this distance. He's not coming from here. He's coming from here, okay? So when he go in, I can't, it looks like I move my body, but I don't. I move the body after I hit him with my hand. I've got to get hold of that arm. So go ahead, Rick. Go ahead. See, I'm going to here, then I move. So it's this. Let me do it slow. 1, 2. I don't move my body because I could never get my body out of the way quick enough. So 1, right? I'm here. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to grab. I got to get a good hand because he's going to come at me. And then I'm going to go into here. All right, that's what I'm going to do. You see this move here? This move here, I can break a lot of things from that. Now, I've seen this kind of technique, go ahead, where you come in, you here, and you do this, all right? Now, I can do that. Do you know how hard that is to do? Because first of all, he's loose because he doesn't want to get hurt. He's going to hold on to that knife tight. Okay, so that's, and his arm going to lock up like that. So I need to, first thing is go. I need to get out of the way of this. I need to grab this quickly, and I'm going to hit him right in the throat. Boom, with my, and you don't have to be a technician. Anywhere from here to here is going to work. Here, boom, then I'm going to take him down. Okay, then I'm going to take him down and do a move like that. And make sure I got that knife. And I'm not going to finish. Now remember this, I've told you this with any kind of technique here, Jeff. Any kind of technique. When we do our techniques, we don't throw them away from us. And if we do, if they happen to get away from us, how much time I got? A minute? If I happen to get away from that, okay, I'm going to be right on top of him. I don't know whether he has another knife or he has another kind of weapon in his hand. So again, and I'll do techniques next time too, spend more time doing this because I want to show you the overhand, the one that comes over the head, where they come like that, or they come to, or stuff that comes to the throat like this. Okay, how to do that. Okay, and then there's the slashing knife. Hold it on the inside. This is the worst. Right here, when they hold a knife like this, because you can't even see this coming, and bang. So I'm going to show you techniques like that. But again, for the basic knife stab, I'm going to hit, come in a little faster, Jeff. Okay, you see that? Grab a little bit, boom, I'm going to hit him here, take him, and then I'm going to take him down. Now you see this had the knife, what do you think I'm going to do from here? I'm not going to stop. And then one thing I will never do in a knife technique, and again, I've seen so many knife techniques, between the black belt magazines and the YouTube. Okay, I will never let go of the hand that has the knife until I know until that knife is totally out of his hands. It has to be out of his hand. I'm not going to let go. I've seen techniques where they do this. We come in here, they hit, and they let go of the hand. I'm going to make sure that I hold on to this arm for dear life until that knife is released, okay? I'm getting the sign from Rick, I gotta go. Next time I promise to do more martial arts stuff and talk longer. Thank you very much. We'll see you next time.